The icy water hit Senna's face like 1,000 needles, jarring her from unconsciousness. She gasped, her lungs burning as she struggled to breathe through the pain radiating from her ribs. "Wake up, you worthless mutt!" Morgana Blackthorn's voice dripped with venom. The beta's daughter stood over her, holding an empty bucket, her lips twisted in a cruel smile. "Did you really think you could hide forever?" Senna tried to push herself up from the frozen ground of the abandoned warehouse, but her body betrayed her. 3 days. She'd managed to stay hidden for 3 days after refusing to sign those papers. Papers that would have given away the only thing that mattered. "Mommy?" That small, frightened voice made Senna's blood turn to ice. Number. No. 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 "Ah! There she is!" Morgana's laugh echoed off the metal walls as 2 guards dragged in a tiny figure. Alara, her 5-year-old daughter still clutching her worn stuffed wolf, tears streaming down her dirt-smudged face. "Please." Senna forced herself to her knees, ignoring the shooting pain. "Please, she's innocent." "I'll do anything." "Anything?" A deeper voice rumbled from the shadows, making everyone freeze. Alpha King Theron Nightshade stepped into the dim light, and the very air seemed to bow to his presence. 6'5" of pure lethal power, with storm-gray eyes that had seen 1,000 battles and won them all. The cursed Alpha King, the one who'd united 7 packs through bloodshed and brilliance, the one whose mate had died giving birth to his heir 5 years ago. Or so everyone believed. Morgana immediately dropped to one knee. "Your Majesty, we found the escapee. The one who assaulted Lady Beatrix at the ceremony. She was hiding with this pup. Look at me." The command wasn't directed at Morgana. It was directed at Senna. She raised her eyes, meeting his gaze for the first time in 5 years. Something flickered in those storm-gray depths. Recognition? Rage? She couldn't tell. Alara suddenly broke free from the guard's loosened grip and ran. Not to Senna, but straight toward the Alpha King. Everyone gasped. Touching the Alpha King without permission was punishable by death. "Please don't hurt my mom," Alara whispered, her tiny hand reaching up toward him. "She said you're the only one who can make the bad people stop." The warehouse fell into complete stillness. Theron Nightshade stared down at the little girl with storm-gray eyes that perfectly matched his own. And Senna's heart stopped. "Don't touch her!" Senna's scream tore through the warehouse as she launched herself forward, but Morgana's boot connected with her stomach, sending her sprawling. The Alpha King hadn't moved. He stood perfectly still, staring at the small child whose hand hovered inches from his own. Those storm-gray eyes, so like his, studied him with an innocence that shouldn't exist in the Shadow Moon Pack territory. "Your Majesty," Morgana rushed to explain, "the child is nothing. Just another packless stray this criminal dragged with her. I'll have her removed." Silence. The single word carried enough alpha power to make everyone except Alara drop to their knees. The little girl tilted her head, curious rather than afraid. "You have pretty eyes like mine," Alara whispered. "Mommy says I got them from the stars, but I think that's silly." Theron's jaw clenched. A slight tremor ran through his hand, the curse fighting against his desire to reach out. His gaze shifted to Senna, who was struggling to breathe through what were definitely broken ribs. 5 years. 5 years since that night. 5 years since she'd vanished without a trace, taking his... "Ilara, come here, baby," Senna wheezed, desperation coating every word. "Come to Mommy." "But he doesn't look mean like they said," Alara protested. "Everyone says the Alpha King is scary, but he just looks sad." Morgana gasped at the child's audacity. "How dare you speak to His Majesty that way? Guards, remove this." Theron's hand shot out, and Morgana's words died in her throat as invisible pressure crushed her windpipe. "Not enough to kill. just enough to remind her who held the power here. "Tell me," he said, his voice deceptively calm as he released Morgana and crouched down to Ilara's level. "What's your full name, little one?" "Ilara Senna Winters," the child replied proudly. "But Mommy sometimes calls me her little star when she thinks I'm sleeping." Winters. She'd kept his mother's maiden name, the name from the false documents he'd created for her all those years ago when— "Your Majesty." Beta Marcus appeared in the doorway, bowing low. "The lunar selection ceremony begins in 3 hours. The 12 alphas have arrived with their daughters as requested. Lady Beatrix insists we resolve this situation before." "Mommy, why is that lady so mean to us?" Ilara suddenly asked, pointing at Morgana. "She made you cry yesterday. I don't like it when you cry." Yesterday. They'd been torturing Senna since yesterday. "What did Lady Beatrix want her to sign?" Theron asked, his voice dropping to a lethal whisper. Morgana, still gasping for air, managed to speak. "Custody papers, Your Majesty. Lady Beatrix discovered this woman had whelped a pup and thought it improper for a criminal to raise." The warehouse windows exploded outward as Theron's rage manifested. Glass scattered harmlessly away from everyone, but the message was clear. "Bring me the papers," he commanded. As Marcus rushed to comply, Theron looked back at Senna, who was staring at him with tears streaming down her face. "Please," she whispered. "Not like this." But Ilara had already grabbed his hand, and though his body went rigid with carefully concealed pain, he didn't pull away. The curse burned, but something else burned hotter. Recognition. Because despite the agony, the child's touch carried something familiar. Something that sang to his wolf. "Impossible," Beta Marcus breathed, the custody papers forgotten in his trembling hands. "The curse. Your Majesty, you're not—" He stopped, noticing Theron's tightly controlled expression, the minute tension that spoke of hidden pain. "I said bring me the papers," Theron commanded, though his eyes never left the small hand wrapped trustingly around his fingers. The burning was there, yes, but underneath it, warmth, hope. Ilara swung their joined hands slightly, humming a soft melody, the same lullaby Luna Queen Cassandra used to sing, his mother's song, the one only 3 people in the world had known. Senna struggled to her feet, using the warehouse wall for support. "Ilara, sweetheart, let go of the alpha's hand." "But Mommy, he's lonely," Ilara said matter-of-factly. "His wolf is crying. Can't you hear it?" The guards exchanged shocked glances. No one could sense the Alpha King's wolf. It was part of what made him so dangerous, so impossible to read. Marcus finally approached with the papers, but his hands shook as he offered them. Theron took them with his free hand, scanning the document that would legally transfer custody of Ilara to Lady Beatrix Rothborn, his supposed chosen Luna for tomorrow's ceremony. "Beatrix discovered the child during a raid on illegal settlements," Morgana wheezed, finally recovering her voice. "The mother attacked her when Lady Beatrix kindly offered to raise the pup properly. Assault on a future Luna is punishable by—" "Stop lying!" Ilara stomped her tiny foot. "That mean lady hit Mommy first. She said Mommy was just a dirty Omega who didn't deserve to breathe the same air. Then she tried to grab me and Mommy pushed her. That's not attacking. Omega." The word hung in the air like a death sentence. In the Shadow Moon Pack, Omegas were less than servants. They were property. "Is this true?" Theron's voice was deadly quiet. "Senna, are you an Omega?" She raised her chin, meeting his gaze with defiance despite the pain racking her body. "Does it matter? Or have you forgotten that night you promised—" "Mommy's not just an Omega," Ilara interrupted cheerfully. "She's special. She can make the flowers bloom even in winter, and her wolf is silver like moonlight, and she tells me stories about the old times when her kind lived free." Senna lunged forward, clamping her hand over Alara's mouth. But it was too late. A silver wolf? Marcus stepped back in shock. But the Moonweavers were wiped out in the Great Purge. They're extinct. Unless, Morgana's eyes gleamed with malicious triumph. Someone's been hiding one. Harboring extinct bloodlines is treason, Your Majesty. The Council will demand execution. Theron slowly pulled his hand from Alara's grasp, suppressing a shudder as the burning faded, and stood to his full height. The temperature in the warehouse plummeted. "You're right, Morgana," he said, and Senna's heart shattered. "The Council will demand justice." He turned to his beta. "Marcus, send word to all 12 alphas. The lunar selection ceremony is postponed. We have a traitor to deal with first." "No." Senna threw herself at his feet. "Please, I'll disappear. I'll take Alara and vanish forever. Just please." "Mommy, why are you scared?" Alara asked, confused. "The Alpha King isn't going to hurt us. His wolf is singing now. Can't you hear it? It's singing your name." Every wolf in the warehouse suddenly tilted their heads, as if hearing something beyond human perception. Theron reached down and lifted Senna's chin with one finger, forcing her to look at him. "You're right, little star," he said to Alara while staring into Senna's terrified eyes. "I'm not going to hurt your mother." His next words changed everything. "I'm going to marry her." Chaos erupted around them. "You've lost your mind." Lady Beatrix Rothborn's shriek could be heard from outside the warehouse as she burst through the doors, her crimson gown billowing behind her. "Marry her? This pathetic Omega who assaulted me?" 12 alpha daughters followed in her wake, each wearing ceremonial silver to mark them as candidates for Luna Queen. They'd come running the moment word spread of the Alpha King's shocking declaration. Senna tried to back away, but her legs gave out. Alara caught her arm with surprising strength for a 5-year-old. "It's okay, Mommy. The pretty ladies look angry, but they smell like fear." "Silence, you insolent whelp!" Princess Cordelia of the Ironwood Pack raised her hand to strike Alara. The hand never connected. Theron moved faster than lightning, catching Cordelia's wrist mid-swing. The crack of breaking bones echoed through the warehouse. "Anyone who touches the child dies," he said calmly as Cordelia screamed. "Anyone who touches the mother dies slower." "She's bewitched you," Beatrix snarled, her perfectly manicured nails extending into claws. 5 years ago, your mate died giving birth to your heir. Everyone knows this. And now this. This nobody appears with a bastard pup, and suddenly you want to marry her? Theron released Cordelia, who collapsed, clutching her shattered wrist. "Marcus, tell me, what do the laws say about the lunar selection ceremony?" His beta cleared his throat nervously. "The Alpha King must choose a Luna from among the presented candidates by tomorrow's blood moon, or remain unmated for another 7 years. And if one of the candidates is found guilty of treason, then their entire bloodline is removed from consideration permanently." Morgana went pale. "Father, what does he mean?" "I mean," Theron said, producing a small recording device from his pocket, "that I have your confession on tape, attempting to force an Omega to sign away her pup, assaulting a mother protecting her child, and most interesting, conspiring with Lady Beatrix to illegally seize custody of a child who might have alpha blood." The device played back Morgana's earlier words, then Beatrix's voice from a previous recording. "I don't care what you have to do. Get that brat away from her mother. If the king ever finds out about his bastard, I'll never be queen." Beatrix's face drained of color. "You were testing me?" "For 3 months," Theron confirmed. "Ever since my trackers reported a Moonweaver had been scented near the borders. You see, ladies, you all assumed my heir died 5 years ago, but what if I told you my true mate never gave birth? What if she ran before anyone knew she was pregnant? Senna's sharp intake of breath made Alara squeeze her hand. Mommy, why is everyone looking at us funny? Because, Beta Marcus said slowly, pieces falling into place. If the child is the Alpha King's biological heir, then her mother is my true mate, Theron finished. The one I've been searching for since the night she disappeared. The one whose absence triggered my touch curse. Prove it. Lady Vivenna of the Nightfall Pack stepped forward. If she's your true mate, prove it now. Theron turned to Senna, who was shaking her head frantically. But he was already moving, kneeling beside her with predatory grace. Show them, he commanded softly. Show them what you showed me that night in the cave. Please don't make me. Now, Senna. His alpha command washed over her, and against her will, her eyes began to glow. Not the golden of a common wolf, not even the rare blue of an alpha. They glowed pure silver like liquid moonlight. The space exploded into pandemonium as her true nature revealed itself. Kill her! Princess Cordelia screamed through her pain. Moonweavers are an abomination. They were eliminated for a reason. The purge laws still stand. Lady Vivenna backed away in horror. Anyone harboring her kind faces immediate execution. Your Majesty, you must— I must do nothing. Theron rose slowly, his massive frame casting shadows across the terrified faces. Except remind you that the Moonweavers were hunted because of their unique ability. They can bear true mates to any alpha, regardless of rank or bloodline. They threatened the carefully maintained power structures of the old families. Mommy's eyes are pretty, Alara said innocently, seemingly unbothered by the chaos. Mine do it too sometimes. Watch! The little girl scrunched up her face in concentration. No! Senna gasped, trying to cover Alara's eyes, but it was too late. One eye glowed silver like her mother's. The other burned with the deep crimson of an Alpha King. Hybrid, someone whispered in terror. She's a hybrid. Impossible, Beatrix stammered. Hybrids can't survive. The power tears them apart before their first shift. Unless, Marcus said quietly, they're born from a true mate bond. The only force strong enough to stabilize both bloodlines. Theron pulled out a rolled parchment from his coat, an official decree with the royal seal. 3 days ago, I received this from the Council of Elders. They've been monitoring unusual energy signatures in this region, signatures that match those recorded before the Great Purge. They gave me 1 week to locate and eliminate the source. Senna pulled Alara against her chest. You brought us here to execute us? I brought you here to save you, Theron corrected. Because there's a loophole in the purge laws. The hunted bloodlines cannot be killed if they're mated to recognized alpha bloodlines, and hybrid children are protected if claimed by both parents before their 6th birthday. Her birthday? Senna whispered, realization dawning. Alara's 6th birthday is tomorrow, the blood moon. Convenient, Beatrix hissed. How do we know this isn't an elaborate hoax? Anyone can claim a child. Theron bit his thumb, letting blood well up, then pressed it to Alara's forehead. Ancient words in the old language poured from his lips, the bloodline incantation, impossible to fake. Alara's skin began to glow, and ghostly images appeared above her head. The royal bloodline of Nightshade stretching back 1,000 years on one side. On the other, the lost lineage of the Moonweaver clan, the original Silverwolves. By the ancient laws, Theron announced, his voice carrying alpha command, I claim this child as my blood and heir. Let any who challenge this claim step forward now. I challenge, Beatrix snarled, desperation making her reckless. You cannot claim a child without the mother's consent. And she pointed at Senna with vicious triumph, will never agree to mate with you. Not after what you did 5 years ago. The temperature plummeted further. Even the other Alpha's daughters stepped back. What I did. Theron's laugh was bitter. Tell them, Senna. Tell them about that night. Senna struggled to stand, Alara helping steady her. When she spoke, her voice carried across the silent space. 5 years ago, the Alpha King saved my life. He hid me from hunters, created false documents, and promised to come back for me after the territorial wars ended. Then why did you run? Marcus asked gently. Tears streamed down Senna's face. Because I saw the announcement the next morning. His engagement to Lady Cassandra Thornfield, the chosen Luna who would give him powerful heirs. Cassandra? Theron's voice broke. You left because of Senna. Cassandra was my cousin. The engagement was fake, designed to draw out assassins. The truth hit Senna like a physical blow. She'd run for nothing. You're lying. Senna's voice cracked as she stumbled backward, her silver eyes flickering with disbelief. The ceremony, the bonding marks, the stage paint and theater, Marcus confirmed quietly. Lady Cassandra was already mated to a warrior in the Northern Territories. The whole engagement was an elaborate trap for the Bloodfang Alliance. We caught 7 assassins that month. Alara tugged on her mother's torn dress. Mommy, why are you sad? The Alpha King looked for us. He sent the nice wolves who left food by our cave sometimes. Remember how I told you stories about the old times? The shadows taught me through dreams. They said a king was searching. Everyone turned to stare at the child. What nice wolves, little star? Theron asked carefully. The shadow ones. They brought rabbits and medicine when Mommy got sick last winter. They smelled like you. Alara smiled brightly. I tried to pet one, but Mommy said they were dangerous. They also whispered the old stories to me at night, about pack laws and traditions. That's how I know so much. My royal guard, Theron breathed. I've had them searching for 5 years. They found you last winter, but you vanished before I could. Because I saw them, Senna interrupted, her voice stronger now. Royal guards meant you'd found us. I thought you'd come to take her away. A bastard child would be an embarrassment to your perfect Luna. Perfect Luna! Beatrix laughed bitterly. You stupid girl. He's turned down every eligible female in 7 packs. The lunar selection ceremony was the council's ultimatum. Choose a mate or lose the unified throne. Which brings us to now. Lady Vivenna interjected, her calculating gaze moving between them. The blood moon rises in 18 hours. If you don't select from the presented candidates, the alliance crumbles. The packs will go to war again. Unless, Cordelia smiled through her pain, you try to mate with an undocumented Omega, then the council will have grounds to remove you entirely. Theron's eyes flashed crimson. She's not undocumented. He pulled out a second parchment, this one older, edges worn from constant handling. Senna Winters, registered 5 years ago as a refugee from the Moonweaver Pack massacre. Granted sanctuary under royal protection. Status, missing. That means nothing, Beatrix snarled. She's still an Omega. No, a new voice interrupted from the warehouse entrance. She's not. Elder Matthias of the council walked in, his ancient eyes taking in the scene. Behind him, 6 more council members filed in, their expressions grim. Elder Matthias. Theron bowed slightly. You're early. We felt the energy surge when the child revealed her nature. The old man approached Senna slowly. May I? Senna nodded nervously. Matthias placed a wrinkled hand on her forehead and closed his eyes. Power, old and vast, washed through the warehouse. Magnificent, he whispered. A true moonweaver. Not an Omega at all, but something far rarer. A Luna Supreme, a wolf capable of bearing alpha children to any mate, strengthening their bloodline beyond measure. That's impossible, Vivenna protested. Luna Supremes are mythology. Like the Moonweavers were mythology? Matthias asked pointedly. They weren't eliminated because they were weak, child. They were eliminated because they were too powerful. They threatened the established hierarchy. He turned to the assembled daughters. You came here hoping to become Luna Queen through political arrangement. But he, Matthias pointed to Theron, already has a true mate, a Luna Supreme, who bore him a hybrid heir. By ancient law, that supersedes any selection ceremony. There's still one problem, Beatrix said desperately. The mating bond requires consent. She has to choose him, and after 5 years of hiding, of raising a child alone, of being hunted, why would she? All eyes turned to Senna. Theron stepped forward, and for the first time since entering the warehouse, vulnerability flickered across his features. Beatrix is right. I can't force this. The choice is yours, Senna. He dropped to one knee, the Alpha King kneeling in a filthy warehouse before a woman in torn clothes. Choose me, he said simply. Let me prove what I should have proven 5 years ago. The entire room held its breath. Choose you? Senna's voice trembled with 5 years of suppressed rage. Choose the man who let me believe I was nothing but a momentary distraction? Who made promises in the dark and engagements in the light? Mommy, Alara whispered, but Senna gently pushed her daughter behind her. Do you know what I've endured? Her silver eyes blazed brighter. Hiding in caves, scavenging for food, teaching myself to suppress my wolf so the hunters wouldn't find us. While you lived in your palace, I gave birth alone in a frozen forest, praying our daughter would survive the night. Each word hit Theron like a physical blow, but he remained kneeling. I searched. Not hard enough. Senna's power erupted, sending cracked spiderwebbing across the concrete floor. Several alpha daughters scrambled backward. Your shadows found us last winter. Last winter. 4 years too late. Elder Matthias stepped forward. Child, the blood moon, can rise and fall without me. Senna cut him off. I've survived without a pack, without a mate, without anything but my own strength. Why should I save an alliance that would see my daughter dead for her bloodline? Because, Beatrix smiled coldly, if you don't, I will. Everyone turned to her in shock. The laws are clear, Beatrix continued. If the Alpha King doesn't mate by tomorrow's blood moon, the position becomes open to challenge, and as the daughter of the strongest Alpha here, I'll win. My first act as queen? She looked directly at Alara. Enforcing the purge laws. You wouldn't dare. Theron growled, starting to rise. Stay down, Beatrix commanded, and to everyone's shock, Theron's muscles locked. Oh, didn't I mention? My grandmother was a bloodbinder. She had her own dark magic, which she hid while hunting others who possessed power. The hypocrisy of it. Destroying moonweavers while practicing forbidden arts herself. I inherited just enough talent to hold an alpha for, about 60 seconds. She stalked toward Senna and Alara. 59, 58. Run! Senna pushed Alara toward the door, but Morgana and 3 guards blocked their path. 45 seconds, Beatrix sang. Here's my offer, Omega. Reject him formally, publicly. Break the mate bond before it fully forms, and I'll let your daughter live. As my servant, of course, but alive. 30 seconds. Senna looked at Theron, still frozen on his knees, his eyes burning with fury and something else. Fear. Not for himself, but for them. 20 seconds. Mommy, Alara said clearly, why is the mean lady making Daddy sad? The word Daddy shattered something in the space. 10 seconds. Senna made her choice. She lunged, not away from Beatrix, but toward Theron. Her hands cupped his face as her lips crashed against his. The mate bond exploded into existence with the force of a supernova. Beatrix's hold shattered instantly. She flew backward, slamming into the warehouse wall as raw power erupted from the newly formed bond. The concrete floor melted into glass beneath them. The metal walls groaned and buckled. But Senna and Theron remained untouched in the eye of the storm, silver and crimson light swirling around them in an ancient dance. Mine, Theron growled against her lips. Yours, Senna gasped back. Always yours. When they finally pulled apart, the warehouse had been transformed. Every surface gleamed with crystallized moonlight. And every wolf present, including the alpha daughters, had involuntarily shifted and submitted, bellies to the ground. Except Ilara, who clapped delightedly. Pretty. Do it again. Elder Matthias, the only one still standing besides them, smiled. Well then, I believe we have our Luna Queen. But Beatrix, blood running from her nose, laughed from where she lay. You think this changes everything? The council still requires the ceremony. What ceremony? Senna asked warily. Matthias's smile faltered. The Luna's trial, an ancient rite that hasn't been invoked in 3 centuries. If a challenged mate bond forms before the blood moon, Beatrix wheezed, struggling to sit up, any alpha daughter can demand trial by combat. And I demand it now. Trial by combat? Senna's newfound power flickered uncertainly. What does that mean? It means, Elder Matthias said gravely, you must face all 12 alpha daughters in the lunar arena. Tonight, the last one standing becomes Luna Queen. That's barbaric, Theron roared, pulling Senna protectively against him. It's the law, Cordelia said, cradling her broken wrist with savage satisfaction. Unless she's too cowardly to defend her claim. I'll fight, Senna said quietly. Senna, number. You don't understand. These aren't ordinary wolves. They've been trained since birth. And I've been surviving since birth, she interrupted. But I have conditions. Beatrix laughed. You're in no position to negotiate. Aren't I? Senna's eyes flashed silver. Because if I refuse, the mate bond breaks, Theron loses his throne, and you still don't get to be queen. So here are my terms. When I win, not if, when, all purge laws regarding the hunted bloodlines are abolished. Permanently. The council members exchanged glances. And, Senna continued, my daughter remains under royal protection regardless of the outcome. Agreed, Elder Matthias said before anyone could protest. But tradition demands you prepare for the trial according to ancient customs. You'll be taken to the Luna's tower, where she'll be conveniently assassinated, Theron snarled. I think not. The king cannot interfere with the trial preparations, Lady Vivenna said smoothly. It would invalidate the results. But I can, a small voice piped up. Everyone looked down at Ilara, who stood with her chin raised defiantly. The old laws say family members can attend the challenge during preparation, the little girl said, shocking everyone with her knowledge. The shadow wolves taught me in my dreams. They whispered all the old stories and laws, preparing me for this day. I'm her family. I go where she goes. The whelp is right, Elder Matthias conceded, looking oddly pleased. The child may accompany her mother. This is ridiculous, Beatrix started. Silence, Matthias commanded. Guards, escort the alpha daughters to their quarters. They have their own preparations to make. As the daughters filed out, each shot venomous looks at Senna. Morgana paused at the door. You have no idea what you've walked into. We've been preparing for this our whole lives. And I've been fighting for mine, Senna replied steadily. When they were alone except for the council, Theron gripped Senna's shoulders. You don't have to do this. We can find another way. There is no other way, she said softly. You know it. I know it. This was always going to happen the moment I came back. Mommy's going to win, Alara said confidently. She has a secret. Little star, this isn't a game. I know, Daddy. The words still sent shockwaves through Theron. But Mommy isn't just any Moonweaver. She's the last Moonweaver Prime. Elder Matthias dropped his staff. That's impossible. The Moonweaver Prime line died with Luna Celestia 50 years ago. My grandmother, Senna said quietly. She survived the purge, changed her name, suppressed her wolf, lived as an Omega. She taught me everything before she died, including how to wake the moon's blessing. The moon's blessing is a myth, Vivenna protested. Like Moonweavers? Like Luna Supremes? Like hybrid children? Senna asked. Tonight, during the blood moon, I won't just be fighting as myself. I'll be fighting with the power of every Moonweaver who came before me. She turned to Theron, pressing something into his hand, a small silver pendant. This was my grandmother's. If something happens, give it to Alara when she's older. Nothing's going to happen, Theron said fiercely. You're going to win, and then we're going to… Shh. She pressed a finger to his lips. No promises. Not yet. We've had enough of those broken between us. 2 guards in ceremonial armor appeared. Lady Senna, it's time. As they led her away, Alara's small hand in hers, Senna looked back once. Theron stood like a statue, the pendant clutched in his fist, looking more vulnerable than the mighty Alpha King should ever appear. Daddy looks scared, Alara whispered. He should be, Senna murmured, but not for the reason he thinks. The Luna's tower loomed before them, and somewhere in its shadow, 12 trained killers prepared for blood. But Senna Winters had survived worse. She'd survived him. The Luna's tower was a crystalline structure that seemed to breathe with ancient power. As Senna entered, the walls began to glow, responding to her Moonweaver bloodline. Pretty, Alara exclaimed, running her small hands along the luminous surface. Where she touched, both silver and crimson light bloomed. She shouldn't be able to do that, the guard muttered nervously. The tower only responds to the chosen Luna, Senna finished. I know. The preparation chamber was sparse, a pool of moon water for cleansing, ceremonial robes, and ancient weapons mounted on the walls. But Senna ignored them all, walking straight to the mirror that dominated the far wall. Show me, she commanded. The mirror shimmered, revealing the arena. The 12 Alpha daughters were being fitted with armor, actual armor. Beatrix wore gauntlets tipped with silver claws. Cordelia, despite her broken wrist, had a mechanical brace that turned her arm into a weapon. Vivenna carried twin blades blessed with wolfsbane. They're going to kill you, a voice said from behind them. Senna spun to find Marcus standing in the doorway, his face etched with concern. His beta authority had granted him access past the guards. The king sent you? She asked. The king doesn't know I'm here. If he did. Marcus shook his head. Lady Senna, there's something you need to know about Beatrix. Her grandmother wasn't just a bloodbinder. She was the architect of the Moonweaver massacre, used her dark magic to track your kind while publicly condemning all magical bloodlines. Senna's blood chilled. What? Beatrix has been planning this for months. The moment rumors of a surviving Moonweaver surfaced, she positioned herself as Theron's most likely choice. She knew eventually you'd surface, and when you did, she'd have the right to invoke the trial, Senna finished. This was a trap from the beginning. There's more. The arena, it's been modified. There are silver particles in the sand that will burn your feet with every step. The other daughters have been given protective salve. You won't have any. Ilara tugged on Marcus's sleeve. Mr. Beta, why are you helping us? Marcus knelt to her level. Because your father saved my life 17 times in battle. And your mother. He looked at Senna. You saved my mate during the epidemic 3 years ago. You probably don't remember. A small village? A sick woman? A mysterious healer who asked for nothing in return? Senna's eyes widened. That was your mate? My pregnant mate. My son lives because of you. Marcus stood, pulling a vial from his pocket. This won't stop the silver burns, but it will lessen them. It's all I could manage without raising suspicion. Thank you, Senna said, taking the vial. There's one more thing. The trial isn't just combat. It's 3 parts: strength, strategy, and sacrifice. No one knows what the third trial is. It hasn't been invoked in 300 years. But the records suggest... He hesitated. Tell me. The records suggest it requires a choice between love and power. The Luna must choose what matters most. A horn sounded in the distance. 1 hour until moonrise. I should go, Marcus said. But Lady Senna... Theron never stopped looking for you. Not for a single day. The engagement to Cassandra nearly killed him inside, but it was the only way to draw out your hunters. He wanted you safe, even if it meant you hating him. After Marcus left, Senna sat by the moonwater pool, Alara curled in her lap. Mommy, are you scared? Terrified, Senna admitted. But you're still going to fight? Sometimes, little star, we fight not because we're not scared, but because what we're fighting for is bigger than our fear. Alara was quiet for a moment. Is that why you ran away 5 years ago? Because you were fighting for me before you even knew me? Senna's eyes filled with tears. How did you get so wise? I had a good teacher. Alara smiled. Then, more seriously, Mommy, when the moon rises, something's going to happen. I can feel it in my bones. What kind of something? The kind that changes everything. The horn sounded again. 30 minutes. Senna stood, her silver eyes beginning to glow. Then let's change everything. The lunar arena was packed with wolves from all 7 territories. Thousands of eyes watched as Senna entered, wearing simple black robes instead of armor. Gasps echoed when they saw Alara beside her, the child wearing a matching miniature robe. The child cannot enter the combat circle, Elder Matthias announced. She's not, Senna replied calmly. She's my witness. The law allows it. Across the arena, the 12 Alpha daughters stood in gleaming armor, their weapons catching the torchlight. Beatrix stepped forward, her silver claws extending. Look at her, she called to the crowd. No armor, no weapons, no training. This is what challenges your future queen? This is the mate your king chose? Theron stood on the royal platform, his knuckles white as he gripped the railing. His eyes never left Senna. The first trial, Elder Matthias announced, is strength. All challengers will fight simultaneously. The last 3 standing proceed to strategy. Begin! Instantly, 11 daughters charged at Senna. Only Beatrix held back, smirking. Senna waited until they were almost upon her, then moved. Not with the desperate scramble of prey, but with fluid grace that spoke of absolute control. She flowed between attacks like water, using their own momentum against them. Princess Amara swung her hammer. Senna redirected it into Lady Thessa's shield. As they tangled, she swept low, sending both tumbling into the silver-laced sand. Their screams as the silver burned through their armor made the crowd flinch. "Mommy, behind you!" Alara called. Senna dropped and rolled as Cordelia's mechanical arm smashed where her head had been. But the sand, Marcus was right, it burned. She could smell her own flesh searing, but she made no sound. "Does it hurt?" Vivenna taunted, her twin blades whistling through the air. "The silver eating at your skin? This is just the beginning." Senna caught both blades with her bare hands. Blood ran down her palms, but her eyes blazed pure silver as she spoke a single word in the old language: arise. The arena floor erupted. Every grain of silver-laced sand rose into the air, swirling in a massive cyclone around Senna. The Alpha Daughters screamed as they were lifted, their armor useless against the storm of burning particles. Impossible! Beatrix snarled. Moonweavers can't control silver. Moonweaver primes can, Senna said, her voice echoing with power. We don't just survive it, we command it. With a gesture, she sent the sandstorm outward. 8 daughters were blown from the combat circle, eliminated instantly. Only Beatrix, Cordelia, and Vivenna managed to hold their ground, though all 3 were badly burned. First trial concluded, Elder Matthias announced, though he looked as shocked as everyone else. The final 4 proceed to strategy. Servants rushed forward with a chess-like board, but not ordinary chess. The pieces were living wolves, pack members who would move according to the player's commands. I'll go first, Beatrix declared, her false confidence cracking. I choose attack formation. Over the next hour, each daughter displayed their tactical knowledge. Beatrix commanded with cruelty, sacrificing pieces without thought. Cordelia showed precision, but no flexibility. Vivenna demonstrated creativity, but lacked decisive action. Then came Senna's turn. She looked at the wolf pieces, then did something unprecedented. You're free to choose, she told them. Move as you will. That's not how the trial works, Matthias began, but the wolves were already moving, not in formation but as a coordinated pack, responding to some unspoken understanding. They surrounded the opposing pieces without attacking, offering them the chance to yield. Aluna doesn't command, Senna said quietly. She inspires. She protects. She leads by serving. The crowd erupted. Even some of the eliminated daughters looked impressed. Second trial concluded, Matthias announced. All 4 proceed to the final test, sacrifice. The arena floor began to shift, transforming into something new. And that's when the blood moon began to rise. The arena floor split open, revealing a chasm filled with silvered spikes. A narrow bridge materialized, leading to a platform where 2 pedestals rose. On one sat a crown of pure moonstone, the Luna's crown. On the other, a small vial of shimmering liquid. The trial of sacrifice, Elder Matthias's voice carried across the silent arena. Only one may cross. Only one may choose. The crown grants ultimate power as Luna Queen. The vial, he paused, contains the cure to the touch curse. Choose power for yourself or healing for your mate. Senna's heart stopped. She looked at Theron, who had gone rigid on his platform. His curse. She'd assumed the mate bond had broken it, but looking closer, she could see the faint lines of pain around his eyes. He was enduring agony just from the bond's partial formation. Ladies first. Beatrix smiled sweetly, then shoved Cordelia off the platform into the chasm. The crowd screamed as Cordelia hit the spikes, her body dissolving into ash, not dead, but eliminated from the trial, transported outside the arena. Vivenna tried to run, but Beatrix's silver claws found her back, sending her over as well. Now then, Beatrix turned to Senna, just you and me. How poetic. They circled each other on the narrow platform as the blood moon rose higher, its crimson light bathing everything in an otherworldly glow. You know what's funny? Beatrix said, lunging with her claws. He was going to choose me. Before you showed up, he'd actually started considering it. 3 months of careful manipulation, and I'd almost won. Senna dodged, but the platform was too small. Claws raked across her shoulder, sending her to one knee. Mommy! Alara cried out. Stay there, baby! Senna gasped, rolling away from another strike. But here's the best part, Beatrix continued, pressing her advantage. Even if you win, you lose. Choose the crown, and Theron suffers forever. Choose the cure, and you can never be Luna. The pack will never accept an uncrowned queen. She was right. Senna could see it in the faces watching. Tradition demanded the crown. Without it, she'd just be the alpha's mate, not their true Luna. So what will it be? Beatrix struck again, this time catching Senna's leg. Your power or his pain? Senna fell, landing hard near the bridge's edge. Below, the silvered spikes gleamed hungrily. I know what I'd choose. Beatrix raised her claws for the killing blow. That's when Alara started singing. It was the same lullaby from before, Luna Queen Cassandra's song. But now, under the blood moon, with her hybrid nature fully awakening, the melody carried power. Ancient power. Moonweaver power. The arena itself began to resonate. What is that brat doing? Beatrix snarled, turning toward the child. It was the opening Senna needed. She swept Beatrix's legs, sending the alpha's daughter tumbling. Beatrix caught the edge, dangling over the chasm. Please, Beatrix begged, all arrogance gone. Pull me up. I'll withdraw my challenge. I'll support you as Luna. Please. Senna looked at her for a long moment. Then she reached down and pulled her up. The crowd gasped. But know this, Senna said quietly. I'm not saving you out of kindness. I'm saving you so you can watch what comes next. She turned and walked across the bridge, Beatrix collapsing in shock behind her. On the platform, Senna stood between the two pedestals. The crown pulsed with power, the vial glowed with healing light. The choice must be made, Elder Matthias called. Senna looked at Theron. Even from this distance she could see him shaking his head, mouthing, choose the crown. Then she looked at Alara, still singing, her small voice carrying impossible strength. You're wrong, Senna said, loud enough for all to hear. There's always a third option. She grabbed both items. The arena exploded with light. No, Matthias shouted. Choosing both means death, Senna finished calmly. I know. The moment Senna touched both artifacts, her body began to fracture with light. Cracks appeared along her skin like breaking porcelain, silver and gold bleeding through. Senna! Theron's roar shook the arena as he vaulted from the royal platform, but an invisible barrier slammed him back. The trial's magic wouldn't allow interference. The price of greed is death, Elder Matthias announced, though his voice cracked. She has 1 minute before. Stop! Alara's small voice carried impossible authority as she walked into the combat circle, her dual-colored eyes blazing. Every wolf, including the elders, found themselves frozen. Please don't hurt my mom, she said, looking directly at the blood moon as if addressing someone there. She's not being greedy. She's being a mom. The arena fell absolutely silent, even the wind stilling. Don't you see? Alara continued, tears streaming down her face. Mommy knows if she takes just the crown, Daddy will hurt forever. If she takes just the cure, the mean wolves will never accept her, and they'll try to hurt us again. She's not choosing both for power. She's choosing death so we can be safe. The blood moon pulsed, as if listening. But that's not fair. Alara's voice rose to a shout. Mommy ran for 5 years to protect me. Daddy searched for 5 years to find us. They already sacrificed everything. Why do they have to sacrifice more? Thunder rumbled from the cloudless sky. The child speaks to the moon itself, someone whispered in awe. Beatrix laughed bitterly from where she knelt. Stupid child, the moon doesn't care about. The blood moon flared, and suddenly a figure materialized on the platform beside Senna. Translucent, shimmering, beautiful beyond description. Luna Queen Cassandra, Theron's mother, the last queen to wear the crown. But that wasn't what made everyone gasp. It was the silver eyes she possessed. Moonweaver eyes. "Hello, little star," the ghost said to Alara. "You sing my song beautifully." You're the lady from my dreams," Alara whispered. "You teach me things when I sleep." Cassandra smiled, then turned to the frozen crowd. "Did you all truly think Theron Nightshade was the first alpha to take a Moonweaver as mate? The bloodlines have been intertwined for generations, hidden, protected, but always there." She touched Senna's fracturing form, and the cracks stopped spreading. "My son," Cassandra looked at Theron, who stared in shock. "Your father knew what I was, kept it secret to protect me, but secrets have a way of demanding payment." "Mother," Theron's voice broke. "How?" "The Luna's crown carries the spirit of every queen who wore it. We guide, we guard, and sometimes—" She smiled at Alara. "We intervene when a brave little girl reminds us what truly matters." Cassandra raised her translucent hands, and the crown began to shift, its moonstone surface flowing like liquid. The vial's contents rose as well, merging with the crown in a dance of light. "The trial demands sacrifice," Cassandra announced, "but sacrifice isn't always death. Sometimes it's truth." She turned to Beatrix. "Tell them the truth, child. Tell them what your grandmother really did to my kind." Beatrix paled. "I don't know what you—" "The truth, or bear the curse of lies forever." Beatrix crumbled. "My grandmother. She led the purge. But not just that. She was a dark magic practitioner herself. She feared the Moonweavers would expose her bloodbinder abilities. She murdered hundreds, children, babies, all while pretending to protect the packs from dangerous magic, the ultimate hypocrite." Gasps of horror rippled through the crowd. "And you knew?" Cassandra said softly. "You've always known. Yet you sought to continue her work." "The trial is satisfied," Cassandra announced. "Truth has been sacrificed. Pride has been broken. Love has been proven." The merged artifacts settled onto Senna's head, no longer just a crown, but something new. Something that pulsed with both power and healing. "Rise, Luna Queen Senna Nightshade, last of the Moonweavers, mother of the future, bride of my son." The barrier shattered. Theron reached Senna in 3 strides, catching her as she collapsed. But when their skin touched, there was no pain, only warmth. "The curse," he breathed. "It's gone." "Both curses," Senna whispered back. "Yours and mine." Cassandra's form began to fade, but she had one last thing to say. "Protect each other." The real enemy was never each other. It was those who feared what you could become together. As the Ghost Queen vanished, her final words echoed. "The pack that accepts both strength and mercy, power and love, tradition and change, that pack will never fall." The entire arena dropped to their knees, acknowledging their new Luna Queen. Except Alara, who just hugged her parents and whispered, "I told you the moon would listen." "All hail Luna Queen Senna!" Elder Matthias's voice rang across the arena, and thousands of wolves howled in response. But Senna wasn't looking at them. She was staring at Beatrix, who remained kneeling, tears streaming down her face. "Get up," Senna commanded softly. "My queen, I said get up." Senna helped her stand, surprising everyone. "Your grandmother's sins aren't yours. But what you choose to do now is—" Beatrix stared at her in shock. "You're forgiving me? After everything? I'm giving you a choice. Leave and never return, or stay and earn redemption. Guard my daughter. Protect what your grandmother tried to destroy. You'd trust me with your child? I'd trust you to remember what happens to those who harm her." Senna's eyes flashed silver, and for a moment, everyone saw the wolf beneath. Massive, powerful, ancient. Beatrix dropped to one knee, but this time with genuine respect. I pledge my life to Princess Alara's protection. This is my first act of redemption. Boring, Alara piped up. Can we eat now? I'm hungry, and Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days because she was too nervous. The tension broke as laughter rippled through the crowd. First, Theron said, lifting Alara onto his shoulders, we have pack business to address. His voice carried to every corner of the arena. By royal decree, all purge laws are abolished. Any wolf of any bloodline is welcome in our territory. Cheers erupted, but he wasn't done. Furthermore, anyone who harbored, protected, or aided moonweavers during the purge will be pardoned and rewarded. Come forward without fear. To everyone's surprise, dozens of wolves stepped out from the crowd. Marcus was among them, and even some of the eliminated alpha daughters. We've been protecting survivors in secret networks, Marcus announced. There are more of your kind, my queen. Hidden, scared, but alive, nearly 30 bloodlines we thought lost. Senna gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. I'm not the last? No, my queen. You're the first to stand publicly and reclaim your birthright. This is outrageous, a voice bellowed from the crowd. Alpha Garrett of the Ironwood Pack stormed forward. You cannot simply overturn centuries of law. The Council of Alphas must vote. The Council of Alphas serves at the pleasure of the Alpha King. Elder Matthias interrupted. Or have you forgotten, Garrett? Who united the 7 packs? Who ended the territorial wars? Who brought peace after generations of bloodshed? That doesn't give him the right to... Actually, it does. Vivenna spoke up unexpectedly. The Unification Treaty grants the Alpha King absolute authority in matters of pack law, so long as his Luna Queen agrees. She looked at Senna. Do you agree, Your Majesty? I do more than agree. Senna stood tall, the crown pulsing with light. I invoke the right of renewal. Everyone went silent. That right hasn't been used in 500 years, Matthias breathed. What's the right of renewal? Alara asked from Theron's shoulders. It means, Theron explained, his voice full of pride, your mother can call for new council elections. Any alpha who objects to our decisions can be challenged for their position. I object, Garrett snarled. Then you accept my challenge, a new voice said. Everyone turned to see a young woman stepping forward, one of the servants who'd been standing in the shadows. Arya, Garrett paled. You're supposed to be dead. You're a moonweaver. I'm your daughter, Arya said quietly. The one you tried to kill when my wolf emerged. The one Mother died protecting. I challenge you for leadership of Ironwood Pack. The arena erupted into controlled chaos. We'll hold the challenges in 3 days, Theron announced. Any alpha who wishes to retain their position will face any challenger who steps forward. This is revolution, someone shouted. No, Senna said firmly. This is evolution. As the crowd dispersed, arguing and exclaiming, Alara tugged on Theron's hair. Daddy? Yes, little star? Can we eat now? And also, I think Mommy's going to faint. Theron caught Senna just as her knees buckled, the weight of everything finally hitting her. I've got you, he murmured. I've got both of you. Forever this time. 3 days later, the Great Hall thrummed with tension. 7 challenges had been issued. 7 alphas faced their own children, siblings, or pack members they'd oppressed. Senna sat on her throne beside Theron, wearing a simple silver gown instead of elaborate royal robes. Alara perched on a special smaller throne between them, swinging her legs and eating honey cakes. The challenges will be simultaneous, Elder Matthias announced, not by combat, but by choice. The pack members will vote. That's not tradition, Alpha Garrett protested. Our Luna Queen established new tradition, Matthias replied. Strength alone doesn't make a leader. The pack's trust does. One by one, the challengers spoke. Arya revealed how many Moonweavers her father had murdered. Another challenger exposed corruption. A third showed scars from unnecessary cruelty. Then the Alphas defended themselves, but their words rang hollow against the truth. Mommy, Ilara whispered, why are some people so mean? Fear, little star. They're afraid of losing power, so they hold tighter until it crushes everything. The voting was swift. 5 of 7 Alphas were replaced, including Garrett. The 2 who remained were those who'd shown mercy during the Purge years. This is what change looks like, Theron announced. Not through bloodshed, but through choice. As the new Alphas were sworn in, Marcus approached the throne. My king, my queen, we've received word. The survivor networks are emerging. Over 200 of the hunted bloodlines are coming home. Senna's eyes filled with tears. 200? Including your mother's sister, Your Majesty. Your aunt survived. She's been protecting orphaned Moonweaver pups in the Northern Territories. Senna broke protocol, jumping from her throne to embrace Marcus. Thank you. Thank you for keeping them safe. Later, in their private chambers, Senna stood on the balcony overlooking the pack lands. Theron wrapped his arms around her from behind. Do you forgive me? He asked quietly. For letting you believe the lie about Cassandra? For not finding you sooner? She turned in his arms. Do you forgive me for running? For keeping Ilara from you for 5 years? There's nothing to forgive. We both did what we thought would protect each other. Ew, you're going to kiss, Ilara announced from the doorway. Aunt Beatrix said you'd be doing gross stuff, but she also taught me the first defensive move today. They laughed, and Theron scooped her up. Aunt Beatrix? She said I can call her that. She's teaching me to fight with control, not rage. She says the best warriors fight so they don't have to fight. Wise words from someone learning wisdom, Senna mused. A knock interrupted them. Arya entered, now wearing the alpha insignia of Ironwood Pack. Your Majesties, she bowed. The Moonweavers from the networks have arrived. They're gathering in the courtyard. They want to see the Luna who freed them. Senna looked at her family, her mate, her daughter, her new pack. Then let's greet them together. No more hiding. No more fear. As they walked toward the courtyard, Ilara started humming again, Cassandra's lullaby. But this time, voices joined her. Hundreds of freed wolves, finally able to sing. The moon, no longer blood red, shone silver and bright. A new age had begun, 6 months later. The memorial garden bloomed with silver moonflowers, one for each Moonweaver lost in the Purge. Senna knelt, planting the final flower as Ilara helped pat down the soil. Will they grow big and strong, Mommy? With love and care, everything grows. Senna smiled, her hand resting on her swollen belly. Even my little brother? Even your little brothers, Theron corrected, joining them with a knowing smile. Twins, according to the healers. Twins? Beatrix approached, now wearing the insignia of Royal Guard Captain. The pack will celebrate for weeks. She'd earned her redemption through action, stopping 3 assassination attempts against the new Luna Queen, the latest from old traditionalists who couldn't accept change. Any word from the Northern Territories? Senna asked. Your aunt sends her love. The orphanage is thriving. 30 pups, all learning they're perfect exactly as they are. Can we visit soon? Ilara asked. I want to meet the other kids like me. After your brothers are born, Theron promised. Marcus appeared, slightly out of breath. Your Majesties, the full moon ceremony is about to begin. The new wolves are ready for their first public shift. They walked to the ceremonial grounds where 200 of the hunted bloodlines waited. no longer hiding, no longer ashamed. As the moon rose, Senna stepped forward. "Tonight, we run as one pack," she announced. "No divisions, no hierarchies based on blood, only family." She shifted first, her massive silver wolf magnificent in the moonlight. Theron joined her, his black wolf pressed against her side. Then Ilara, her small pup form silver and black mixed like starlight. One by one, every wolf shifted and howled. Silver, brown, black, gold, all voices joining in harmony. From her throne of moonlight above, Queen Cassandra's spirit smiled. The curse wasn't just broken, it had become a blessing.